medical care, and I would say cancer care in particular, is always very personal. And so we work hard on our end at making sure that the patient understands who is their quarterback and who's calling the plays at the line of scrimmage. And we work incredibly hard at creating seamless handoffs as people go from radiation to surgery to medicine to interventional radiology and back again. And one of the keys to creating that seamless system has been the quiet but very significant revolution in nurse practitioners within the cancer center. And I think that the role of the NP in the cancer center is absolutely critical to maintaining that personal relationship, because the patient knows that there's a team that's working together, but that there are quarterbacks at certain points in their care that are calling the plays at the line of scrimmage. And we have found that the nurse practitioner, the role of the nurse practitioner in coordinating that care and coordinating the seamless handoff of the baton is critical to that personal relationship, and also critical to the experience of the patient and to the well-being of the patient as they go through this process.
I would say on the research side, there are many initiatives that we have. There are some that are very cross-departmental and disciplinary. They involve, for example, capturing tumor cells in the blood of patients using engineering devices. And for that, we have engineers, surgeons, medical folks, molecular biologists, imaging specialists, computational biologists, and clinicians all working together for that in a very dedicated and very strong effort that's focused on bringing this to the clinic. We have big screens in partnership with drug companies of new drugs that could have some promise, testing them against genetically characterized cells so that we can try to figure out what drug will work against what kind of cancer in what combination before it actually goes to the patient, so we can have some kind of insights. And we're doing more and more work in terms of characterizing the tumors for their genetics, their so-called epigenetics, which is the latest thing that we're looking at now, and really trying to get the science in a position where when it comes to the clinic, we're as well positioned as possible.
So I think that the way we do the innovative piece, so when we offer patients something that's innovative, increasingly it's getting more complex and very difficult for an oncologist who is, or a nurse practitioner who's working within a disease center, say the breast cancer disease center, to know exactly what's going on with particular pathway inhibitors, whether it be the toxicities of these drugs, the main questions of these drugs, what pathways they're turning on and turning off. And patients may have a specific type of cancer and have their clinical care exist within a disease center, but then sometimes the best possible option for them is to do something innovative and experimental, and they decide to do that. But the best team to manage that patient through that innovative process is outside of the breast unit or outside of the GI cancer unit or the lung cancer unit, and exists within the experimental therapeutics unit. And the experimental therapeutics unit has its own expertise of how to administer these drugs. They're talking to their colleagues in the pharmaceutical industry and biotech, at other academic institutions, to fine-tune these drugs so that we know if they're hitting specific pathways, we know what the toxicities are, and they have a very different kind of expertise. And so the patient, to make the patient experience the best, they actually have to come out of their breast unit or their GI cancer unit and come into the Tamir Center and be cared for while they're on that particular clinical trial on that unit. At the same token, they need a link back to the disease center from which they came, because eventually there will be decisions that need to be made that are very specific to their particular type of cancer, and they need that kind of expertise. And so what the Tamir Center does in setting up this separate physical space within the cancer center and located centrally amidst all the different disease centers, the genius of it is that people can seamlessly go from the breast unit or the GI unit or the lung cancer unit or the heme malignancy unit into the Tamir and out again and back and forth, and avail themselves of the best chance for the best case scenario in using an innovative approach. No, and I would say on the clinical side of things, the three major efforts that have happened over the last year are, one, the redesign of the inpatient experience for the patients and the house officers and their education experience. We have focused a great deal of effort on our move into the Lunder building, Lunders 9 and 10. It's a wonderful physical space for our patients, and creating the next generation of oncologists in terms of the residency program into the fellowship program, and also that with that same experience that the patient has that's very personalized, has been a tremendous effort over the last year. The second major effort, I would say, is the continued integration of palliative care throughout the Cancer Center. We have multiple clinical trials now ongoing evaluating palliative care and other supportive methods within the clinical arena. And then thirdly, I would say it's our ongoing effort with building community cancer centers that are the MGH Cancer Center, and having this seamless bidirectionality of patients getting their care close to home at certain points and getting their care in town at certain points of their illness. And that kind of relationship is only growing, and is probably the fastest growing part of our clinical enterprise.
I think what I would add there is that traditionally you have medical departments, surgery, medicine, radiology. Everybody does their thing. Everybody's in a different building, and patients go from one place to the other. And sometimes their medical records go with them. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's not. And one of the strengths of MGH is that it's so mission-focused, it's so patient-focused, that you build the whole experience around the patient. And a patient with breast cancer will basically be seeing their surgeon, their radiologist, their medical oncologist, their radiation therapist at multiple times in the course of their treatment. And having all of those people talk to each other, be located next to each other, is incredibly important. And that's made us focus very much on a cancer center, a place of care. If you look down the hallway that's over there, you'll see in 5 minutes I've been watching radiation oncologists, surgeons, medical oncologists, and nurses all walking through. And I don't know what department they're in. They're all working on helping patients within this particular center. So I think the spirit of working together, as well as the physical space of being able to put everybody next to each other, has a huge impact. And on the research side, it's the same kind of question. You know, we have engineers working in the same bench as molecular biologists, on the same bench as people who really work on clinically derived questions. And bringing them all together, sometimes it's a headache to figure out who's who, but once you do that, the magic really happens.
I think as we think about the institution as a whole and how the design of how we use our space, how it fits the climate that we're currently in, is one of the items that I would say we think about as a leadership team all the time. I would say that there are one of the big threats to the viability of the MGH and to the Cancer Center is the way we use our space. We have limited space. It's not an infinite amount of space that we have. And one of the things that we're seeing is our ability to take care of patients at the main campus or our ability to offer the best that we can, whether it's supportive care, standard of care, or innovative care, is impacted by the finite amount of space that we have. And so what we're seeing happening is a spread into the community of our programs and creating the MGH Cancer Center at North Shore or at Emerson Hospital or up at Exeter Hospital. And what we're seeing is where we can create a disease center and an expertise in the community, and the patient can get that care in the community. We're doing that more and more. But when somebody needs innovative, complex care, multidisciplinary care, that it's necessary for them to come downtown to the main campus here in Boston, we create that environment in Boston so that the most complex, innovative care happens seamlessly, and care that can be had with the same level of expertise that's in some ways easier to deliver out in the community. We try now to deliver out in the community. And so how we make that experience seamless for the patient is something that I would say we as a leadership team think about all the time. And how do we leverage our space in the best possible way?